We are live.
Awesome.
I hope so.
Okay. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm your host, Sheila Seppi, and we are with the Wish Alliance tonight. And my co-host is Swain. And Karen has invited a wonderful, beautiful speaker for us tonight, Majenta Moon, and she's going to talk to us about ceremony, spirit, and energy. But before we go there, I want to go ahead and share my screen with you and let you know about a few exciting events coming up. This, of course, is Karen's YouTube channel. If you are watching, please select the like button and subscribe to her channel. Also, we will be on Portal to Ascension as well as New Realities. So again, like and share their screens. But what I'd like to do right now is to bring you to our website, wishalliance.org. You can visit and sign up every week right here. You will get two notices a week to let you know who's our Monday night speaker and who's our Thursday night speaker. And we have our hybrid conference coming up. That's August the 27th and 28th. That will be on Portal to Ascension. And Neil has the Kundalini Online Conference coming up May 21st. All you have to do is click on this little photo and it will take you immediately to this page. And then we have Deepening Connections with the Law of Creation. Now this is happening on June the 2nd, the 30th, then on July 28th. And this is free. So all you have to do is click on the photo and register. And the Heal the Divine is a free online conference, and that is on June the 4th. And so please be sure to check those out. Portal to Ascension. We also, as you can see, we have Karen who's going to be with us all month. And Karen, what I'd like to do right now actually is I'm going to turn it over to you and have you to share a little bit about an event that we have coming up on May 21st and 22nd. I can't, you're on mute.
I'm on mute. You've got me in the middle of editing the lives. What are we doing? May 21st in the States, May 22nd down under, which is a Saturday, Sunday, right? Is
our Saturday, your Sunday.
Galactic Goddesses Connect Hearts Across the Waters. So we're going to bring together some thought leaders in the conscious community. And gosh, how many have we got? We've got about a dozen, including you and I. Yeah. Geraldine Orozco, Mary Rodwell. God, remind me who there is. Bridget.
Okay, let's see. Yes, we have Barbara Lamb. We have Bridget Renee Holiday, Geraldine Orozco, Vivian. How does Vivian say her last name?
Chauvet.
That's what I thought. Chauvet. We have Stone Hobbit, Mary Rodwell, Leah, and Larissa will also be with us.
Leah and Larissa.
Thank you.
Too.
I can't speak tonight either.
Larissa
Stone.
And Leah Scallon. Leah is in Queensland in Australia, and Larissa is in LA in California. Yeah, they're two amazing galactic singers, you know, amazing, completely different. So hopefully they'll do some music for us. So Leah channels the language of light, and she's got so many albums out. She's been doing it for years, and she's the crystal goddess. She creates these crystal grids, which are incredible for the ascension, and creates portals. She's amazing. I just adore both of them. I adore all of them. But anyway, that's going to be a 4-hour conversation, roundtable conversation.
Yes.
Sheila and I have never done this before. We're just opening it up. We're asking people questions. We're asking the goddesses questions, and we're asking the audience to answer the questions as well. You know, an overview of what is happening on planet Earth at the moment. What are the new frequencies coming in? How are they affecting us? What the hell? What are we all doing here? What the hell is going on? Yeah, and moving forward, seeing, we're going to discuss moving into a future in a new world. So it'll be great to have the perspectives from all these people across. We've got, we didn't get Canada because Tanis couldn't join us, but we've got the States, we've got New Zealand, we've got Australia, people across the States. Yeah.
And in the U.S., it's going to be on May 21st, Eastern Standard Time from 6 to 10, Central Time 5 to 9, Mountain Time 4 to 8, and Pacific it will be from 3 to 7. And then on your day, on the 22nd, I think this is Australian time, Eastern Time from 8 till 11.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then New Zealand 10 till 2, and then in Europe 10 noon until 4, and then in the UK 11 until 3.
Not noon, midnight. It'll be midnight in Spain, midnight till 4 a.m. and 11 p.m. in the UK.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah. It's hard to get time zones where we can all connect in a decent time zone. But I have a few people in Europe that join my groups that I do at 8 a.m. here, and it's midnight for them, and they stay up and watch. Bless them, I tell you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And just a moment, I'm going to have Karen to introduce our special speaker for tonight. But before we do, Susie has a beautiful song that she is going to share with everyone. So Susie, come on up.
Uh-oh. Where are you? Hold on. There you are. Oh, wait. I got to see you. There we go. Okay, here we go. Okay. So, it's my job to open our hearts with music and song, and so we can receive everything that's going to happen tonight. So this song is by Daniel 𝐒𝐿𝐿, and I hope you love it as much as I do. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in more light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in more light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm going to sing it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. About life, about laughter, about comfort, and about love, about kindness, about hearts open wide. It's about love, about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, about service and lending a hand. Lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, about service, it's about lending a hand. About love, about service, about lending a hand. Lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in more light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I've learned to keep it inside. Well, it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. a life about laughter, about comfort and smiles, about love, kindness. It's about hearts open wide. It's about love, about passion. It's about taking a chance. It's about love, about service. It's about lending a hand, lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors, this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, this heart of mine.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Cindy.
My pleasure.
Cindy. Susie. I'm looking at Cindy thinking, I want to say something to Cindy too. But Susie, thank you so much. I always appreciate the songs that you bring because you really help to set the pace for the evening, or you're able to lock in that energy that we have kind of created during the night. So thank you so much for giving of your time so freely. It's beautiful.
So much fun singing for conscious love light people. I mean, I've sung and played music, but oh, it's so fun singing for you guys. I love you.
I'm listening to you.
Much. And Cindy, I wanted to say a special thank you to you for helping with the Facebook page. So if you guys have not checked that out, please check out the Wish Alliance on Facebook and join our site. Yeah, so thanks so much, honey.
Love you.
Okay, Karen, I'm excited. Let's get started. Woohoo!
Well, let's bring on the beautiful galactic goddess from down under. Where is she?
Right
there she is.
Here.
Are you going to do it? There you go. Too many spotlights in the kitchen. I think we keep spotlighting us.
Yeah.
So I'd like to introduce everyone to the gorgeous and divine Jen Majenta Moon.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much.
Let me tell people a little bit about you. No, I've got the wrong. Where are you? There we go. So Jen Majenta Moon believes that life can be celebrated with ceremonial living to honor our rites of passage. A shamanic ceremonialist, healer, and channel, Jen curates sacred ceremony experiences for transformation and ascension. She's a shamanic ceremonialist, as we've said, healer, ritual performance artist, shamanic practitioner, channel, and spiritual guide who recognizes herself as a starseed from Arcturian lineage, or at least she's got the Arcturian mob chatting to her. And she's here on Earth at this time to effect transformation and establish new frequencies, and is recognized for her craft for providing spiritual medicine as healing. I thought I was going to say improvisation, providing spiritual medicine as healing. Take it away, Jen. Let's hear a little bit about you.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Susie, for that beautiful opening with opening hearts. And I guess why I have fallen into the field of shamanic ceremonialist work and being a shamanic practitioner, a healer, a performing ritual artist, and a spirit channel is because I have felt the importance of having those sacred spaces, those places that we are open so that we can do the work that we've come here to do. I was tuning in this morning with Spirit, having a chat, sort of going, well, what's happening on the collective that's going to be of most service to talk about today? So we can go into that in a bit, but it's always needed to be within that safe space. My story, I chose to come here into an awake family and have a beautiful spiritual mum and sister, and my niece is being raised in the same kind of woo-woo line. So I just, sometimes we're sitting around the dinner table all talking about spirit and energy and aliens and all of the things, going, wow, I wonder how many people get this experience where, you know, they might be the only person in their family that gets to share what they're really thinking and feeling. So I feel very blessed that I've chosen, that line to come in so that I could be supported in doing this work in the world, because it's not necessarily the most easy path to choose to take, especially with the background of so many of us coming from different past lives where we've been persecuted for speaking up and about this work. However, I really believe that we've all chosen to come here in this life, in this time, and travel through this time of ascension for the planet. And I believe the planet's going through a little bit of a dark night of the soul as well, which perpetuates everyone else's experience of facing their shadows. So I have traveled the normie world route. I went down the corporate pathway and worked in the event management industry for a very long time, and the performing arts industry. And I'm so grateful that I had those experiences, because not only did they teach me about where I was out of alignment for the path that I'm here to walk, but they also equipped me to be able to do the work I'm here to do. And I think it's such a beautiful thing to be able to look back and witness what we've gone through, and that those times that perhaps weren't great, or a bit tough, or perhaps a bit painful, didn't happen to us, they happened for us. So every time we go through another stage of evolution, another new kind of recalibration and incarnation of ourselves, we can look back and give thanks to that past self, rather than perhaps looking back with disappointment or regret. It's really healing the past and the present and the future, so that we can be here now to do that work. I feel like I'm jumping all over the shop a little bit here, but I'm just going to bring through what's coming through today. I work with spirit in a fashion that allows me to navigate my world and also be of service through the work that I do. So I utilize ceremony and ritual on a daily basis to open up the spaces within my home, within my life. I set up what I'm going to do. And so, for instance, to jump onto this today, I'm calling in my spirit protectors, spirit space clearers, so that they could come in and kind of sanctify the space in my room, in all of your rooms, and also to clean the lines of technology, because I do, and I understand what Sheila and Karen were talking about before we jumped on the live, how when we have such amplified energy, our energy can impact technology a lot. And it can be really frustrating when we live in a world where we need to come into coherence with that. So we can work with the material world and the 3D reality that we still are working with as our frequency rises, as we are moving with the shift in the frequency of the planet, and work in a way that's going to allow us to live in a bit more harmony and a little bit more balance. Karen, did you want to ask questions today, or did you want me to just keep going?
I can ask you some questions, darling one. What about we talk about your spiritual awakening journey? When did you first recognize that you were maybe connected to off earth consciousness, and that you maybe from that part, like that your soul has hung out in other dimensions?
Sure. So, as I mentioned, I was raised in a family that was relatively open. So I was always conversing about spirit and energy and things like law of attraction and the small things that I could get my hands onto before the internet was widely used as much, showing my age here. And I was always seeking. I always had this deep hunger and thirst for more. I just wanted to understand more, like what what's the universe? What does it mean to move towards enlightenment? Why are we here? What's the difference between a soul and a spirit? Like, what is our soul? And so there was just this need to connect to people, connect to resources and information to help me to formulate, I guess, the map and the territory of what it is that we're traversing in this time. And I think we need to go through our lives and go through our lessons to be equipped to handle the next layers that are coming in. And I know we have some amazing children coming in now that are fully awake. Yet my personal journey was one of a gradual, so we can integrate what we receive. Back in, I think it was 2019, beginning of 2019, I was exposed to Dolores Cannon's work, and was watching one of her YouTube, a clip of one of her speaking gigs. And, you know, I know she's passed away now. And I was watching about the 3 waves of volunteers, and it just was a huge activation. So 2019, there was quite a lot of activations that year where I guess was initiated in a way. And so after watching that YouTube video, I just sat there and I was crying with all these memories just flooding me of like, oh my gosh, I am not from here. I came from another planet. I heard the earth, the beacon saying, we need people, we need volunteers to come in. And it was a relief in a way, yet it was a lot to take in at the time. And from that point, it's like all my abilities just got amplified. So that night when I went to bed, it's like I went off planet, and for 5 days was in a bit of a strange zone, almost like I was so far away from myself, kind of looking at the world through layers and layers of cloud or something like that. And it took me about 5 days to come back into my body. And I, at the time, had a really strong sense that I wasn't alone here anymore, that I'd had what I termed a walk-in at the time, which was another entity who had contracted this to come with me before we'd got here, to come in and just assist in this process. So I don't feel them as much as a separate being anymore. It's more of an integrated wholeness. And over the years have come to understand it was fractals and dimensions of myself in many realms. And, you know, if we look at everything, we are all one. So we are fractalized, we are in multiple dimensions at once, and different levels of our consciousness are going to perceive different things. So 2019 was big. I started to journey into the other realms and receive insights. I had spirits visiting me. I had one of my close relatives pass away, and they became extremely present in my world after they passed. And so it was just this huge learning curve, which was really tough to experience at the time, because there was moments of going, am I going crazy? Is this real? And it's propelled me to keep going. So many times, you know, you can't shut the door. Once you walk through the door, it's very, very difficult to go backwards unless you, I guess, numb it through means that's not going to necessarily be the most healthy thing for your body. And I've never wanted to. I've wanted to keep going and understand more and to grow and evolve. So that's kind of a very small snapshot of one of the incidences. Yet I see myself awakening on degrees all the time. And I think the great awakening process is our lifetimes, that we are going to be exposed to different things and different people and different energies, especially the energies. Everything is energy, for us to understand that little bit more, have that aha moment, have that next realization. And we will be led, if we follow that energy, to the right people, to the right situations, be in alignment and flow with the orchestration that is around us at all times, to get to those places that's going to assist us. And when we're open to that, it helps to streamline things. And I guess I'd love to move into, Karen, what I got this morning for.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think the most important message from the Arcturians is for us at this time on planet Earth? And that was probably what you got this morning.
Well, my spirit team that I work with is a lot more broad now, so it's not just the Arcturians that come in. So I guess that's also what's been different about growing through this field. And they assisted me so much in preparing me and developing me, and now I have the strength or the capacity to be able to understand who I'm speaking to and what frequency they're coming from, and where am I and who am I attracting in the spirit world. Just like in our life, like attracts like. When we are in a situation, we're going to attract people of that same kind of caliber and that same frequency. Same in the spirit world. So you've always got to make sure that you're in the best possible energetic frequency to speak to who you want to speak to. So this morning when I was chatting through them, there's some big key themes that I've seen this year. And, we've gone through a couple of big transformational years prior to this with a shift in not just the physical world, but the collective consciousness. And I know I'm speaking to the converted here, which is fantastic, that we are almost now going, well, what now? What next? We get that there's no normal to go back to. And I don't know, I don't really enjoy the term new normal. Like, who's ever really enjoyed normal apart from when you want some stability and some foundation? The big thing is we're facing the death of many things. And sometimes the word death can scare people. And we have quite a stigma about death in our society, which is unfortunate because it is such a perfect and beautiful and natural cycle as part of our lives. The death phase, and I use this, I do a lot of ceremonies for people around this in my shamanic work, is about honoring that which has gone and that which has left us and that which has changed. But when we go through a separation from what we thought we were or what we had, it can create that state of suffering, grief, sadness, and we are still clinging to, imagining energetic cords clinging back to the things that you had, the situations that were, the person that you used to be. And the death honoring of ourselves is about showing up and being able to look at those states of being that have passed, and being able to have gratitude for what they gave us, have the ability to understand the lessons that we've learnt from traversing through that period, and being able to cut those energetic cords with love, with grace, with gratitude, with kindness and compassion for ourselves. Because so much we believe we're meant to be something or have something or be somewhere that we're not. And I've been traveling very strongly the last few weeks with the notion of gratitude and acceptance. And they can be quite throwaway words. We're grateful, and yes, we've got to be present and be okay with what's now. Yet when we dive a little bit deeper under those, what does that actually look like to be grateful for what is right now, while still being able to move towards dreams, aspirations, other things that aren't quite yet in our field? And what the messaging I was getting this morning is about how we're all searching for this state of physical security, health, and wealth. And that drives so much of our actions, our thoughts, and our states of being. And when we don't feel safe, or we think our health is threatened, or we think we are in scarcity, it really affects our ability to stay at a higher frequency and work in the fields that we are here to work in. And whether we are healers, whether we are working a normal corporate job, whether we are cleaning dishes at the local cafe, it doesn't matter what we do. It's the state of being that we do it in that's the most important aspect. The biggest message is it's time to slow down. Yet there's also not enough time to not be taking action. So I understand that's a contrast. And I guess the messaging is around understanding where your energy is placed, where it's going, where it's being directed to. Is it in your highest and greatest good to keep doing all the things that you have been doing? I got a huge wake-up call this year when I went down with the big C, and it knocked me, and it showed me, A, what I had been doing prior to getting that wasn't in my highest and greatest good, and B, the way I had been doing things was no longer an option. And I'd been saying, I need to slow down and I need to have a little bit more spaciousness, yet this forced that to do, for me to take different actions in my life. And now that I'm much more on the road of recovery, I don't want to step back into the rat race, into the belief that we don't have enough time to do this. And yet I want to be very, very particular with how I operate, how I choose to start my day, fill my day and close my day, so that I'm looking after my physical health. This also creates a sense of safety in my life, and it will naturally flow into the abundance flowing in when you are looking after yourself energetically. But when we're focusing solely on one aspect, whether it's the material world or even just focusing on the spiritual world, we create an imbalance. And part of the work that I do with shamanic healings, with journeys, it's about trying to bring things back into a state of balance. So we're looking for what is out of coherence, what is blocked, or what is being focused on too much, so the other things might be lost a little bit. Also, on the other end of the spectrum, are we stuck? Are we feeling stagnated? Are we being over conventional with our approaches to things? We've gone through this phase of the era of the expert, where we're searching for someone to answer our questions. And of course, we can be inspired and motivated and informed and educated by so much stimulus around us. Yet we take away that power from within ourselves when we are always searching outside of ourselves. I've moved into a space where conversing with spirit is my go-to, yet I'm also always tuning into, how does that truth land with me? How does that information that I've received from someone in the physical world or someone in the spiritual world landed? Because just like our physical reality, there's so many people, there's so many different areas and locations and things and backgrounds, and in the spirit world it's way more vast. So we're just got to be careful about always checking in and being connected to who we are and what we've got as our anchor. When we talk about balance, coming into alignment, it's looking at things like, well, what's our view on spending time alone versus spending time with others? Are we focusing on what's happening in our work environment, in our physical reality, and we're missing out on tuning into that inner voice and checking into, how am I feeling about this? What's my inner child say about this? Have I connected into my higher spirit or my future self to kind of guide me into what's coming? So the messaging mainly was this: it's time to have a new version of how we look at ourselves. We look at ourselves with trust, with pride, and loyalty, having loyalty with our inner self, being in integrity, being authentic, knowing that you will keep looping in your old patterns until you stop it. You will keep looking at those situations with rose-colored glasses until you take them off. And the power is back in our hands. So that was the biggest messaging. Karen, I know you're going to have some questions about that, so fire away.
Well, I was just thinking, how do we use ceremony? Like you were talking about, we're not going to go back to the old normal. And so can we appreciate the past for everything that it taught us? And how can we use ceremony? What sort of ceremony can we use to sort of honor that, to do that?
Oh, so many. And they'd always be unique to people's circumstances. Yet what we can do for ourselves is create a sanctified space, a safe space, somewhere where we feel that we can go within for a while and look at what has been. So with a death, I like to call it a transition and transformation ceremony rather than a death and rebirth, because it's about us transitioning from one state to the next, that we would look at different aspects of our lives, different parts of who we were. So when I do this with people, I like to check in, what's the biggest standout versions of them that they relate to? Is it the mother that I've the title of mother? Is it the work title? Is it a childhood teenage self that you miss and identify, or a younger self that you were freer or more hopeful at that time? So we want to bring these versions of ourselves up to speak with, as though they are their own living beings, which they are. They just happen to exist in a different time to this present moment. We can converse with our future selves and our past selves at any time. And it's so healing, so healing to be able to send love and kindness and words of inspiration and guidance to past versions of you, especially when you knew you were suffering. I actually love to use a email scheduling tool that allows me to send emails to my future self. And this allows me to ask questions, and I know as I'm writing them, she's receiving it and she's telling me the answers. So it's this beautiful like feedback loop. So as soon as I'm doing that work, I'm always sending something back to my past self. So the idea with the ceremony aspect is to allow yourself the time and space to be present, be open to something coming through, and to honor what was. So we want to ask you, well, who are they? What do they have to say? What are their needs? What are they still bringing up in you today that perhaps isn't serving you anymore? So I'd go through a process of getting them to speak. So through you, your old self speaking and saying how they feel, what they've been going through, why they think this might be wrong or what needs to change. And we then ask, what do they need in this time? What do they need to feel safe, to feel loved? And it could be that they wish that the father figure or the mother figure had provided more love, or that they'd been given the opportunity to go to dance classes as a child. It's about offering this on an energetic level and getting them to feel seen and heard and accepted. And then we are offering them something. So a lot of ceremony, it's all about release and calling in. The offering could be something that represents that aspect of you. And if you don't have anything of a physical items, grabbing something from nature is a beautiful way. For when we do energetic work and we're releasing, to have a physical component that you are matching that action with really helps to work it through the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual layers of your being, so the integration works more seamlessly. So allowing yourself to then use one of the elements, fire, water, air, earth, to do that release. I love using water. Water represents the emotions, you know, sending out that flower or a piece of stick, wrapping it with some wool, maybe writing a little note on it and sending off the farewell for that aspect of you. Ceremonies can be so small and sweet and simple, which is something I'll do each morning just to open up a space, have a little bit of time to get some downloads, connect in with myself, meditate, walking. Like I use all those aspects in my daily ritual. Or they can be beautiful, long, elongated. They can be outdoors, they can be indoors, wherever you feel called to do it. And sometimes we want to have someone holding space for us, or we can just do it alone. So the death phase is about letting go of those aspects of you, and then who are you calling in? What new aspects, now that you've got space within you because you've said a beautiful farewell to those old fragments that were kind of hanging on and dragging parts of your energy out, letting them go, coming back into you. All right, I'm going to call in the authentic speaker. I'm going to call in the strong and wise woman. Understanding, what does this new whole version of you look like, and why would you want her to come and operate with you? What has she got to bring? So again, I would open up a space to allow her to speak. This is when that we can free flow, we can channel, we can call her in. What does she look like? What does she wear? He, she, what do they do each day? What's their ideal work? It's about dreaming, envisioning, and connecting energetically to the vibration that this part of you is going to bring in and allow you to synchronize within the world. So does that kind of answer your question, Karen?
Darling one, it absolutely does. Am I unmuted? Yeah, it absolutely does. Beautiful. I want to just add a couple of points. I've had a few aha moments just with a couple of the guests that's been on the show, and Michael Tamura in the Inner Sanctum yesterday, to add to this. So Michael Tamura has a ritual where he, when you want to like transmute or destroy or change or finish with energy, he asks you to visualize a rose and then put the energy into the rose and then throw it out to the universe and explode it. And I was saying to him, oh, I use a different symbol. I don't use a rose because I don't like to explode a rose, because I love roses and I don't want to blow up roses. He sort of corrected me on that. And he said, well, exploding something is just sending it back to where it came. So everything comes from source energy, and then particles come together and coalesce. They attract and they form, roses, planets, humans, thought forms, belief. They coalesce together, and exploding something in your visualization is just sending it back to source, rather than seeing you're destroying a rose. You're just sending it back. And I thought, I'd never thought about it like that. Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. If you want to use that explosion. And then something else that the gorgeous and divine Jazz Maheen said on the show the other day, spirit lives outside of time and space. We live, of course, inside time and space. So we're talking to our past self, either in this life or other lives, and then our future self, either in this life or in other lives. But they all exist simultaneously, and they're all manifest right here, right now. And she gave this most delicious mantra, aha moment, like, I already am everything that I could ever imagine myself to be. I already am. I am everything I could. And so when you know that you live outside of time and space in your consciousness, and that everything that you could ever imagine, like, being a galactic goddess on another planet, or being a successful in this lifetime in your future, or whatever you can imagine you already are, then you just call it in. Then you just claim it. Like, you just claim it. And then ritual, as you're talking about, is such a beautiful way to do that. Like, however that looks to you, and you've got some amazing ways to create ritual around, manifestation, or creating, bringing those particles into being in this here and now.
Yes, I've heard of that rose one, actually, with the sacred geometry of the rose and taking it outside of your energetic field. So that's a powerful way to do it quite intensely. Perhaps I could take everyone through a little bit of a cord cutting ceremony during our time today, just to show you how easy that is, to be able to just go, what am I connected to? It's actually a beautiful process to do. You could do it each night if you're feeling really connected and attached to situations and people, or just now and then, depending on what you're feeling energetically. Like, I know that as the frequencies are shifting, people's sensitivities are raising. And so it's really tough for people to navigate how much they're experiencing and feeling and impacted by the world around them. And another note I got from Spirit this morning was how we can go into empathy overload. And I know when I was down with the big C, my kind of normal spiritual defenses or energetic defenses were relatively low because I was unwell. And so the collective stuff was coming in on such an intense level that I went through a whole emotional and mental landscape that it's like, whoa, I haven't been there for quite a few years. So as we are navigating this world as sensitives, as empaths, as psychics, as mediums, like we're all naturally got levels of all of that. We need to be very conscious about what is ours, what's not ours, and understanding how to be able to move out of that kind of overloaded state, and where we are tuning into the collective angst and fear, because it's going to be out there, and come back into our smaller personal universe where we can work at a much gentler level. And one of the lines I got this morning was, tie yourself to the light and prepare to spend some time nurturing your tender spirit. And I thought that was so beautiful, because it's, last 2 mornings I've gone walking and I've seen beautiful rainbows. And I just think they're such a gorgeous sign of that light, of what's available. So no matter if we're walking through our dark times and it feels so dark around us, or it appears to be that, it's remembering that anchor of light that's available to us at all times. The opening and expansion can be painful, yet I know so many of us are called, are guided to just keep walking forward through this, and understanding that we're not alone during this, and that no matter how many people you do or don't have in your physical reality, and you think, I'm not supported, no one understands me, no one sees me for like what I'm actually going through, that we don't actually need someone else to get that on its entirety, because to be honest, no one ever will. So when we can understand that being alone doesn't mean we are lonely, and that other people not getting it also doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with us, and that we have this unique perspective of the universe from who we are. And that's kind of the point. So if we think of source consciousness and it's fractaled out, and each one of us are a tiny expression of a fractal of that, we're supposed to have a different viewpoint to every single other being and person and thing in the universe, in the galaxy, because that's the point of being able to witness each other from these different perspectives. So as our change of frequency is happening, and we need to come back into this place of, well, what's happening here? How can I just focus on my little personal universe and nurture myself energetically, set up my days energetically, and it's a balance act. So I know a lot of you are going to be familiar with daily practices, how you get up, how you start your day, who you interact with, what do you allow in your field the first moment that you come into consciousness each day? How do you connect to nature and Mother Earth? How do you open yourself to higher guidance? Are you falling straight into the trap of coming into a regimented work environment or influence from the people you might live with? How can you nurture that tender spirit that needs your love, needs your compassion, needs your loyalty to show up for that every day? And coming into equilibrium within ourselves, with that balance, with that harmony, and trusting that it's okay if we have a day where we don't feel that great, that it doesn't mean that we've fallen down or slipped from the path and we're completely out of alignment. I can't remember who said this, Karen. It might have been you actually in one of your classes, where if you're on a ship and it's got a destination from point A to point B, that it's never going to be completely on the right path all times. You're constantly making adjustments in the navigation to keep getting you there. So if we are always just understanding that today's just another day to course correct, to understand, oh, well, we've gone a little bit down that path that wasn't quite what we thought, or didn't really lead us where we wanted to go. We're just going to course correct and come back into the place of that central equilibrium aligned state.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, but I can't remember who said that, but yeah, beautiful. Darling, well, we've got about 5 or 10 minutes before question time. Do you want to lead us in a ritual?
Sure.
A little ritual of, what did you call it? Transitioning
a cord cutting ceremony.
Cord cutting.
Yeah. So this is like a very small fraction of what you would do in a transition and transformation ceremony. And that would take a lot longer. But this just allows us to clean up our energy field. So first of all, I'd love to open sacred space, a sanctified space, and call in our beautiful spirits of the East and the energy of water, connecting into that beautiful cleansing nature of water that allows us to clear away anything that is not serving us. It hydrates us, it nourishes us. Give great thanks. Ashe. Calling in the spirits of the north and the energy of air, the wind and the winged ones. May we have an eagle eye perspective of what's happening for us now. May we welcome in the knowledge upon the air and the breeze that gently caresses us. Ashe. Calling in the spirits of the west and the energy of fire. Allow fire to illuminate, to warm us, to transform, transmute. And let the mystery of the phoenix that rises from the ashes be us on this new day. Ashe. Calling in the spirits of the south and the energy of earth, beautiful Mother Earth, the earth spirits, animal spirits, custodians, ancestors. Thank you for your support and your foundation, for holding us, for being us in this earthly incarnation. Ashe. We open up the sacred below, Mother Earth, and the sacred above, Father Sky, and the sacred in between, which is the bridge between the physical and the spiritual, and where Great Spirit resides. So I invite you now, if you feel comfortable, just to close your eyes. And we're going to imagine ourselves out in a big, beautiful, golden field. There's long grass that gently caresses our calves as we move through this field. The wind moves the grass in beautiful waves. And on the outskirts are dotted trees with a gently warming sun above our heads. And in the middle of that field we stand. We allow a grounding cord to come from our root chakra right down to the center of the earth. And down this root chakra grounding cord, this is our place that things can flow, that they can be released. So just saying to yourself, I give permission for all that doesn't serve me to be released right now. And now opening up the crown chakra, inviting in source energy like a beautiful waterfall of light, just coming in so that you are connected below and above. And now we're going to be asking to be shown anything that we are energetically connected to right now. And from your body, you may notice, you may see, you may feel, you just might know that you have cords coming from you. Some may look like fine golden threads, others like phone cables, others like tree vines, others like the huge electrical cables that lay underground. And as you notice these cords, notice where they come from in your body. What area are they connected to? Some might be coming straight from the middle of your heart chakra, your solar plexus, your sacral. Some might be from your back, creating a real sense of dragging weight. Maybe the bottoms of your feet, your knees. All of this tells you a story. It has a messaging for you, allowing you to understand what part of you is connected to this time, people, places, or events. And as you notice these cords coming from you, look to the edge of the field and notice if you see, hear, feel, or just realize what those cords have been connected to. Now, everything we do in our world creates an energetic vibration that we can be connected to. So you may notice the fine golden threads just randomly getting connected to the things that you've done this week. Gone shopping for groceries, gone for a walk down the street, had a chat to a neighbour. Then you might notice the big chunky ones are connected to some major life events, or perhaps partners, children, parents, siblings. They can be positive, they can be negative. They can hold trauma, they can hold great joy. And notice now if any of those cords feel like they're really pumping some energy. And you could be releasing that energy through the cord to that time, people, places, or events. Or you're actually calling it in. You're getting fed from those cords, from those energetic connections. Understand that this cord cutting ceremony doesn't mean that you'll be disconnected from any of the things that serve you in this life. You're making an intention today to cut the cords to everything that no longer serves you. So now, choosing an instrument, a tool to cut these cords, you might find yourself holding a pair of golden scissors, perhaps a big knife, perhaps some big garden shears, or maybe a huge samurai sword. Choose your instrument, your tool, and center yourself, knowing that in this energetic space, you have the fluidity, the flexibility to be able to cut all of these cords in the swiftest and easiest amount of time possible. So on the count of 3, you're going to take a breath, and on the out breath, you're going to cut all of these cords, knowing that anything that serves you will easily be reattached. However, you're asking to come into your own energetic frequency. So you have the capacity to kind of read what's happening for you without the influence of energy being taken or received from anything else. So on the count of 3, taking that breath, 1, 2, 3, breathing in. And as you breathe out, cut all of those cords, whipping around in the front, the back, each sides, underneath your feet, over the top of your head, And as that breath exhales, allowing yourself to come back to stillness, laying that tool down beside you, and just taking a moment to feel your being as it is in this time and place without any other energetic influences. You may feel a sense of lightness. Perhaps sometimes a little bit of dizziness can come in, and that's okay. It can feel a bit strange too. Perhaps even a little sense of loss, as we're so used to having this energy working through us. And now take a beautiful vial of blue ointment that I was gifted from an astral shaman. And I take this ointment and I place it across all of your energy bodies, healing the wounds from any of those cords that have been cut, smoothing out the energy field, allowing you to feel whole and complete again. And any spaciousness that's been created in your being from the cutting of these cords, just notice that. I want you to connect back now into that energy coming from source through your crown chakra and allow it to come down and through, filling your whole being up. And as it reaches the feet, imagine like a glass of milk. It starts to fill your body, raising in this white light from your ankles, up your shins, up your knees, through your thighs, through your buttocks, your stomach, your lower back, your chest, down your arms and up your hands, up your neck, right until it fills your whole being. And this light just tops you up with the energy from source, the purest frequency of love. And you're invited to open up your eyes again now and move through the remainder of this day, remainder of your night or morning, and just notice what it's like to be in your own energetic frequency. What are you feeling? Is there loss? Is there excitement? Is there freedom? Just noticing when you start to get those energetic cords moving again, when they might be connecting to new things. And you can easily take yourself through this visualization process, perhaps before you just go to bed at night, bringing yourself back into your own energetic frequency. So thank you for joining me in my ceremony today. I'll just close our beautiful sacred space, giving thanks to the sacred in between, the sacred above, and the sacred below, and gently closing you down. Giving great thanks to South and Earth, and gently closing you down. Giving great thanks to West and Fire, and gently closing you down. North and Air, gently closing you down. East and Water, gently closing you down. And to all our beautiful spirit helpers for their guidance, their wisdom, and their support. Thank you.
Beautiful. That was so beautiful, Jen. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful way to, kind of wrap this up, and a beautiful practice to do in the evenings before we go to bed. That's awesome. I don't know. I know you don't know much about me, but I am a walk-in as well. And shamanism is what really rooted me in the body. So I was really excited to hear your perspective. So it's very beautiful. Thank you for sharing those.
Oh, my pleasure. That's what I loved about it. I remember when I first came across the shamanism, it was like, coming home. It was a recognition. My whole being remembered it. And it does. It really anchors you to this earth and still allows you to work with the spirit and the energy, because I've watched a lot of people over the years kind of gravitate so high that they get a little bit space cadet. And it's that anchoring that I think really can be of assistance.
Beautiful. I just want to comment on some of the comments here. Cindy said ages ago when you first started talking, she said so loves the Australian accent, which I thought was hilarious. And then there's lots of thank yous on the Zoom here. Thank you. That was great. That was beautiful. Lovely. Thank you. Wonderful. Just what I needed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And from the YouTube, Greg says powerful and beautiful divine feminine energy. A question from Brad who says, why do you think the sea is happening? That's a question for another time, because I know that Susie's got a question.
So beautiful. Do we call you Jennifer or Majenta or Moon? What do we call you?
Whatever you like.
That was just so beautiful. I wanted to reiterate two things that you said, and actually three. But the first one is we have to really be able to be okay with the crap. I mean, I got a thing. I said, why am I drawing in this crappy energy? But I had to own it, and I had to feel it. And a lot of the times, whether it's a past life experience or something in your childhood or whatever, you have to go to that emotion. The fear of having the emotion back when you had it kept you from just going through the emotion. If you just go, oh my God, I got to feel this. And it's not that comfortable, but it's really quick if you feel it. You go, oh my God, this was painful. This was icky. And I had to say, I am drawing in this energy. I see it. I don't like to say that. But once I owned it, I could shift it to a higher energy frequency.
Absolutely.
You know? And you said it twice. You said it again. You said, and it's just owning what, being able to feel the depth of, okay, maybe we call it wrong, or I don't like that word, but maybe we perceive it that way, but, or pain or something, feel it, go, oh my God, my 3-year-old didn't know how to handle that, but I can help her. And you go back and you help her feel those emotions, and those emotions will shift. If you feel them, they shift.
Yeah.
And one other thing, I love you. I think you're just so awesome. The last thing you mentioned, loneliness. Teal Swan, I'll put it in the chat. She has a book called The Anatomy of Loneliness, and it tells you, you know, I can be in a crowd, I can be playing music for 1,000 people, and I can still be lonely. I mean, she breaks down loneliness, how it's our responsibility to understand it so that we can break the ties. I just love you. I think you're awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank
Brilliant.
you, Susie. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I really hear you. You know, there's a quote saying there is nothing good or bad. It is what we think that makes it so. And it takes a little bit to kind of really get that everything just is. And we may not even be the ones that think it's bad, yet we've been taught from others that it's bad. So therefore, we make it bad about ourselves. And if we can come into that state of real acceptance for everything that is right now, any pain you're feeling, any suffering you've gone through, it comes into you all of a sudden. There's just a state of perfection for this moment of time of like, I'm that beautiful being of light. None of this is actually going to be here forever. We're all going to exit this world, and we're going to just have that beautiful essence of our light to take with us.
Yeah, and there's this experiment you can try. Everybody can try it. I've done it. It's an emotion. You feel the emotion. Maybe it's pain or suffering or whatever, and you've avoided it for however many decades or whatever. But you just say, you know what? I can feel this. I'm going to be okay. I can feel this. And once you feel that emotion, I'm talking sometimes 30 seconds, that emotion will shift to a higher frequency emotion. But you got to be able to feel the depth of pain and stuff that we've been avoiding. If we don't avoid it, we own it, we accept it, we go, now I can move forward. Because even when you did your meditation, I had to dump some stuff before I could even open up. I had to own stuff so that I could be more open, because your meditation was beautiful, so high frequency. I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Susie.
Thank you, Susie. And Susie, before you sign off, I do want to let you know that Brandon said that he needed to hear the words that you spoke, because it's been quite a few past days. So I just wanted to make sure that you heard what he had written to you.
Okay, I'll check it out. I'll look at the chat. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Great.
Love you guys.
And you too. Thanks. Do we
Have we
have
got
any other questions?
any
real
more
quick?
questions?
No,
There's a few.
What?
There's a few.
Sorry, Karen. I was interested to know what people had felt during that cord cutting, because I really see that it comes through differently for everyone in terms of how they felt on the other side.
Yeah.
Because there's sometimes, oh my gosh, I'm so light. And then it's like, oh, I actually feel grief at the loss of what was. And oh my gosh, I've been feeding off or giving that energy for so long. So if anyone feels like popping in the chat what they've gone through that.
I'm just going to tell you what I'm seeing on YouTube. Honor your sacred energy. Just Greg has reiterated what you said. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm and positive energy. Yeah, people are loving what you're doing, darling one. Yeah, does anyone have any, want to share their experiences with what they had during the meditation?
Can you hear me?
Who's that?
Yeah,
Have you got them,
me.
Sheila?
It's Brandon.
Oh,
It's
Brandon.
Brandon.
Okay, let me find you, Brandon. There you are. Let's bring you on up. Whoops. Stone, I've got you up here. Hold on just a minute. And hi, Stone. Great to see you.
Hi, Stone. Stone's in NZ, New Zealand. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Down under.
There you go.
Hi, Brandon.
Hi. So, after this, I guess I felt like, like I was talking about, like, past couple days of just going through like stuff, but just out of nowhere of I guess very quickly like cutting cords that I knew needed to be like, cut at some time, but I didn't know it was going to happen like that abruptly, so it's just, me still thinking about like all of that. And then like, but now to the point where I'm realizing it is true, like, like just like I'm trusting my gut and my spirit and realizing, looking at all the synchronicities of how, if all these things are happening, these people are being pushed out and all these other things are coming in, then the kind of like trust that, and like after those like cord cutting ceremony, I had this kind of like relief that just kind of like reminded me like of that again, and like all the stuff that, the past couple days, now I'm just kind of like, oh, I felt it and I can move on, like, so it was within like a few minutes. So
It's amazing because energy can shift so quickly and we forget. We think we've got to carry around all this weight of stuff and emotions and other people's things. And it can be as simple as doing that. It's like, that's what I think I love about ritual, is because it reminds you to do things on a regular basis. So things like smudging your house and yourself with sage is just a simple tool that you can use weekly and do, your whole house, do you, and it just kind of clears you up and it clears you from the debris that you might be carrying from other people. Because as sensitives, we start to bring it all in and we start to wear everyone's stuff. Using the elements, like, as I said, going for a swim, going for having a bath, even having a shower can just help to sort of wash things off you. Using your intention is always the biggest key here. So when you are wanting to shift something, it's like, okay, understanding you're kind of like moving around, you're a bit sluggish, you're a bit heavy with emotions, with thoughts, and just having something to remind you in your environment, is this mine? What can I do about this right now? I love just having something up on the wall that says cord cutting, shower, bath, meditate, like all the really simple things that you kind of go, you have psychic amnesia when you need the most and you know how to do it. And if someone in your environment was suffering, you'd be like, hey, why don't you try these things? So it's like turning it back on yourself and just applying those really simple tools that shifts energy quickly, makes you feel lighter, allows you to move into those higher frequencies, which opens and broadens your perspective. Because when we get into stress states, our perspective comes like this, and all we can do is move forward with this kind of tunnel vision. So broad it out and we go, okay, things aren't actually that bad, and I know what to do now. So I'm really glad you had that experience today, Brandon, because it's so nice to have the evidence for yourself that things can shift. And then if you go for the next week and you're like, things are great, and it starts to get better, like hard again, remember to do something about it.
Perfect. Cindy, you've got your hand up, darling. I don't think we can bring you on camera because you haven't got your thing on, but
That's
do you
okay.
want to ask?
I don't want to be on camera right now. I mean, eventually I will, but you all look great. But I just wanted to say that I really appreciated the reminder of being conscious of how I start my day. Because for a while I was saying, today is a great day. Today is, whatever, positive affirmation when I start the day. But then I got into reading some text messages. From certain people that are not so positive, or a client that likes to text, readings, things that should be held for a reading that I shouldn't be getting. And they're always book long.
Mm-hmm.
So that can be really annoying. And I forget to shift back to, I'm having a great day, instead of, letting my day start off with that feeling of annoyance, or hearing from somebody that has a habit of being negative.
Absolutely, Cindy. And I think that's why if we can create it to be a ritual, whether you need to put a Post-it note up on your wall, so when you wake up and you open your eyes, you're like, that's right, do my affirmation. And what else makes you feel good in the mornings? Is it going and having your cup of tea or coffee first? Is it going and walking outside and seeing what the beautiful nature has to offer? Sunshine, rain. It's like connecting and switching yourself on and having an intention about, how do I want to experience this day? That before you're allowed to look at your phone. Like the only time I do is to put my meditation music on, and then I'll start to do the messages and stuff. So it's got to be so ritualistic that it becomes common practice, and that you can do anywhere as well. Because I know when I go and stay in different places, it can be easy to kind of knock yourself out of your routine. So it's just got to be some very, very simple things that are easy to do anywhere. And then perhaps you've got elongated ones for when you've got time off and you've got a bit more spaciousness. And I mean, I love to sit there and do a full tarot spread, or do, extended journaling and on my balcony in the sun when I've got that space to have that time for me. And it will change your reality by creating those daily practices and daily rituals, because it sets you up. And at the end of the day is also just as important to clean your energy off. So I'm always, before I go to sleep, talking to my guardian spirit, talking to my doorkeeper, asking them to protect my body and my spirit during the astral traveling time, setting an intention where I want to go during the night, because our consciousness doesn't go to sleep. I mean, our consciousness does, but our spirit goes in and has adventures. And that's when we get information through our dreams. We can do a cord cutting. We can listen to a meditation. We can do a gratitude practice. Like all of these shifts the frequency so much that you'll then have a better night's sleep, wake up more refreshed, and then the cycle continues.
You're absolutely right. And, I have the vision board up in bold pictures and words of my year, what I want to do and accomplish. I have my things for today. I've got to get out of the habit of feeling the need to look at my cell phone first thing when I wake up, or in the middle of the night that's a habit that I got to stop doing, because if I get a message and I'm too curious to look at it,
Yes.
Yeah.
that human temptation, even though you know you shouldn't sometimes, just in case. But yeah, those other reminders are good, are great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I understand that desire to kind of like, well, I do need to, just in case. So it's like checking the names and not opening the actual message. Or going, I'm opening up a space for 5 minutes to do this, and that space is closed, and I'm going back to my energy practices. You know, there's ways to work around that. And I love what Stone's written here about it can be as simple as making your bed every day. It really is. It's that setting up of your space, whatever that looks like. Also at night, before I go to bed, I'll reset my lounge room and space. So when I walk out in the morning, it feels fresh. There's not stuff everywhere. And it's just that creates that energetic environment for you.
believe it or not, that vision board, the things for the day, and looking at my artwork in the morning, and getting prepared for another picture, that really does it for me. It's just that every once in a while when I forget I should just put my cell phone as far away from me as possible at night instead of next to my bed.
We'll keep it on
I really
airplane
appreciate
mode.
the reminders.
Yeah, airplane mode. And I don't turn that off until I'm ready to actually look at things. Can help
Rachel
too.
says here, keep the phone in the other room and get an alarm clock.
There you go.
Oh no, it's not even that. It's just,
I like that.
you know, I've got to break the addiction to my cell phone. Oh, Willow.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to say, you know, ritual, that habitual thing is our ritual. That is ritual. Like when we get up and we do the same thing every morning, like put the kettle on or have a cigarette. I've got a friend, the first thing she does before she even hits the floor is put a cigarette in her mouth. But yeah, that is our ritual. Yeah, what are we making our ritual bad habits or not so healthy? Let's not call them bad habit, but maybe not so healthy habits. Or are we creating ritual to you know, expand our consciousness and enrich our lives, and to clean our energies? Something that you said that was so important, Jen, and about the sensitives, the star seeds, the walk-ins, the indigos, you know, the wish, being you know, so sensitive to energy during this time where energy is being amplified. We forget to ask when we're feeling strong emotion. We discussed this yesterday with Rachel and Michael in the Inner Sanctum. We forget to ask, you know, how much of this energy is mine? When we walk out and we feel anxiety or fear, or are we picking up on the anxiety or fear around us from our neighbors? You know, and we think that, you know, it's my anxiety, it's my fear, I've got to work on myself, I've got to fix myself. And that all might be true, because we cannot attract energy without having it, but 2% of it might be yours and 98% of it is like stuff that you're picking up from around you. But yeah, just because when you do realize that you're perceiving other people's frequency, and you cease to make it personal, you cease to suffer as much, I think, over it. Yeah.
I just had a funny thought. You know, when you wake up in the morning, I'm a big Wizard of Oz enthusiast. So I was just thinking, are you a good switch or a bad switch?
Yeah.
Sheila, what did you wanted to say something? Huh?
I was just going to say, you know, one of the practices that I have as soon as I wake up in the morning, as I start going through my gratitude list. And then after I have done that, then I kind of envision the type of day that I'm going to have. And really, I feel like, you know, putting that energy out, putting your gratitude, you're already paving a pathway that you just energetically will step into. And so, you know, we can do those things anywhere. I do like what Sage said about making the bed, because if everything else goes wrong, then you know you've at least done something that was right that day, and that's really cute. And setting your gratitudes and your intention is so important, because I don't know, for me, if I forget to do that in the morning, something is off. for my whole day. And then cutting those cords at night, because I work with a lot of people, trying to, keep that really clear is so important. I'm so glad that you brought that up tonight. And, you've given us really life-changing, simplistic things that people can remember to do for themselves. So thank you so much for bringing that forward.
Oh, my pleasure. And that's, I guess, what I love about this work is I want to offer tools that can be used ongoing and empower people. And, if you don't have a daily practice already set, start with just one thing. Don't overload yourself with all of the things that you need to do. Like, I've played with so many different versions of my daily practice for years and years and years, and it morphs and evolves. And I sort of, in the past, would get upset at myself if I'd forgotten to do this bit. And now it's like, well, what? There's some key things that I kind of have as my standard, and then the others fluctuate and change depending on the circumstances. But if you haven't got anything and you just sort of roll out of bed and check your phone and go to work, it's like, well, what's the one thing that kind of stood out on today's call for you? Is it just having some gratitude? Is it just having an affirmation? Is it just going outside and looking at nature before you kind of get locked into the 3D reality? One of the things I love to do is to light a candle when I'm doing my daily ritual, because for me, it's igniting energy. It is illuminating things for me. I love the scent. I love the visuals of it. And it kind of just opens up that little bit of a space for me. So I always, when I'm doing work with clients, when I'm doing my own little things, it just is a symbol. A symbol of opening and closing a space is lighting and extinguishing a candle. It can be so simple.
Absolutely. Just love candles. I'm just going to share what's happening on YouTube. People said about the ritual. Brad M said, I can't visualize cords. Greg said, I felt a release. Rose said she felt emotional. Brad's loving the emotional ritual. Stone says here, let it flow, stay calm and smile, give yourself thanks. Thanks for sharing this advice with you. Yeah, I want to share with you what I saw, because often when we're doing creative visualizations where people are they're doing work next door, hopefully you guys can't hear it. Good. Yeah, when we're guided, as soon as we drop into like that theta brainwave, we start to visualize, and often what the person's saying is not what we're seeing, and then we try and sort of make it like, has anyone ever done that when they're, anyways, so Brad said that he couldn't see cords. And likewise, when you first started, I went straight to my back, where your bra strap is at your back, and I felt this heaviness in my back, and I got this visual straight away. I didn't see cords. I got this visual looking down. It was like I was on a drone. I was looking down at a river, and there was a small sort of plank running across the river, and there was this dark-haired person. I couldn't see their face because I was above them, with this they were carrying a big load on their back, and I thought, wow, isn't this fascinating? This is so interesting. And they were trying to navigate this road, this load on their back, as they were walking down this path with the river running. And I was just watching this scene open, and I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. And then you're doing the ritual, and I'm like, I'm already swept up in this visualization. But it was really showing me that, like, I'm carrying stuff on my back and I'm trying to navigate it. And yeah, it was like, it was a whole, I don't know if it was a past life or what the hell it was, but yeah. And then I'm trying to cut the cords, cut those cords, and, but I felt like, I saw this vortex above my head, like me sitting here on the couch. And I just felt like this energy lifting and just being sucked up into this vortex. And I thought to myself, I've got to remember what, like Michael said, explode it. Don't just send it off to the universe, explode it, because exploding things is not in my nature to want to do, not like little boys that want to explode everything. And I thought, but that reminder that exploding something is just sending energy back into the ocean of source, rather than seeing it as violent. Yeah, so it was a powerful visualization, Jen. I loved it. I thought it was great.
This is what I love. Like, I love the symbology and what spirit offers. If ever you were listening to a guided meditation, a guided journey, guided ceremony, if your mind starts to get visions or you're not actually able to see what the facilitator is offering you, that doesn't mean it's wrong. And some people do not see pictures in their head. So I work a lot. I've actually had quite a few clients come through like that. So again, it can come like 𝐂𝐿𝐿's experience of seeing a whole different thing that could have been a past life that you're still carrying the weight of. That could be a representation of what are you carrying in this life. And so the symbology of the imagery or the feelings, like sometimes you'll just get sensations in your body. Sometimes you'll just have memories pop up or people pop up that you're like, wow, why did they come in? I've got to get back to the thing. It's like, no, they're there for a reason. And so just following the breadcrumbs of signs, symbols, and synchronicities that Spirit gives you during facilitated sessions like that, or just in everyday the life. Like there are messages all around us all the time, like my rainbows, for example, the last 2 mornings, you know, they are there, the animals we see, the conversations that we hear, the people that we have experiences with, the places that we find ourselves. So it's all there as this kind of big earth school, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Spirit is our teacher. Yeah.
There's a message here from Brad. Jan, have you seen any extraterrestrial beings? He wants to know on Brad on YouTube. Who's got,
not in the physical, to my disappointment. I've got a beautiful I've got a beautiful client that talks about all these ET experiences that she has in the physical. I see them in my I guess spirit vision. So as a medium, I've got spirits and entities coming through a lot. And so I'll see them that way. When I work with clients, I always bring in their guides. So I'm always seeing them, and some are what you'd consider ETs. So I am putting it out there that I'm quite happy to be someone who deals with ETs when they're here, which I'm sure they're here all the time. I've seen quite a few flying ships over the years, but not had any close encounters just yet.
Just yet, putting it out there.
Just yet.
Be careful what you bring in.
Yeah, Cindy's got her hand up again. Go for it, Cindy. I had a message from the ETs. You know, they said that a lot of the reasons that they don't present as a physical form is that they're teaching us about our telepathic abilities and to open our third eye. And so if they're communicating with us in that way, they're getting us used to that way of communicating, because that's how they communicate.
Yes.
Go, Cindy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had that experience too. And years ago, I used to have that experience. They'd come in my readings sometimes, but and then give me their name even. But I was just thinking when you said that the signs, and there's signs all around us all the time, I was just thinking, I'm a tarot practitioner and teacher, and I say everything I learned about tarot, I learned from life, and everything I learned about life, I learned from tarot, because it's signs and symbols all around us all the time that we can read, you know, to figure things out and have our guides, you know, get through to us.
Oh, absolutely. It's beautiful. It's beautiful when we can walk around and go, you know, have a day that you allow yourself to have a spirit-led day and just follow the symbols and synchronicities. I teach my students this where, you know, it doesn't have to be a full day. Maybe it's a couple of hours, and just tune in. It's like, okay, where am I being led? Am I being led to go into a certain room of my house, or am I getting images of a place down the street, or should I look at a map right now? And okay, that day I'm going to go and just visit that location. And I do this because I want to be open and not so regimented in my thoughts and directions that it allows them to show me things that I otherwise might not have been witness to, come across people, come across situations. And it's such a beautiful experience to allow yourself, because it then gets you to look with different eyes and see things as messages. You might be like, well, where am I going next? And look down and there's a leaf pointing in a direction. I know I went on a spirit-led journey to actually find this location that I'm living in now. and got led to this sort of boat area, and pelicans. I don't know if you have pelicans over in the States, where it's a really big water bird, and they were my grandmother's favorite bird. So I always have such a connection to them. And there was this huge one down in the water, and I said, all right, well, where am I going next? And it swung its head up and pointed up the road, and I ended up at this beautiful holiday park, which I ended up camping at and doing work from and loving, and then I moved just down the street from it in the end. So there's always different ways to look. You can look up at the sky. There's the elemental spirits. The clouds can teach you. The trees can teach you. Animals have so many different messages. And it's just trusting your intuition and the knowing, and that if you see a sign, it's for you. It's not for the person behind you. It's for you. Pay attention.
Great share. Great reminder.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful.
I totally agree and ditto.
Good.
I got some pretty funny signs from my spirit guides, like really funny ones.
Mm.
They definitely have a sense of humor.
Oh, they do. They really do. And they love it when we start to pay attention, and they will start working with us more strongly when we open up.
That's true. Absolutely true.
So that's why I love each morning just to open up that space, because it's like it gives them their time. And then if you're finding it's too much, you're getting too many downloads and too much, you go, all right, give me some space. I'm off the clock now. So it's a give and take relationship.
Oh, true. That was cool.
Has anyone got any more questions? We've run out of questions. We've got comments coming in on YouTube. But has anyone got any questions about the ritualistic process? Brad on YouTube is saying a lot. I am more in tune to thought. Jen, have you seen? Oh, yeah, we asked that. I have mediumistic gifts, he says. I receive signs in a similar way to Jen. Anyway, he's loving it on YouTube. It's being very vocal. No other questions? So shall we do maybe a ritual to end with, Jen?
Yeah, sure. Sort of doing a little bit of a channeled reading style thing.
Yeah.
Brandon's sharing that he usually gets his signs from the clouds when he's outside, and you can see clearly defined hearts in the sky in divine light language. Beautiful. Yeah, wonderful. All right, well, let's tune in and ask for a message that's going to be of most service to those who are on the call today, those who are listening to the replay. Okay. Interesting. So I'm shown a desert island, and one of the rainbows that I saw in the last 2 days was on an island just across the water from here. And it's this island and a big rainbow going down in the middle of it. And this morning's rainbow was going down into it too. And it made me think about this sense of coming back to the notion of loneliness and why we think we're alone, that we can have that sense of being this island in this huge sea of possibility, and sometimes not knowing what we need to do to move forward. And they're showing me that, the single palm tree and the person who's kind of marooned on that island, and that we put ourselves in that space. There can be ships from all directions, yet if we have our perspective closed and our ability to see the possibilities of what's available to us, we will continue to believe that we are marooned on an island and that we have no way of getting off, of finding salvation, of finding a sense of freedom from the trapped environment that we think that we're in. The possibilities around us are endless. Absolutely endless. And when we start to change our perspective, the wording I kept going is you're not going to see a rainbow unless you look up. And we start to look higher towards the horizon, seeing a bigger picture, rather than be so consumed by the smallness of the life that we think that we've been trapped within. When we start to pan out, we can see the available pathways. We can see the modes of transportation available to us. We can see the ways out of the circumstances that we may have found ourselves in. When we are tied to our circumstances and we believe that we are trapped, it will, they're giving me the imagery of being in chains, where there is, I've got my American guide coming through, I can see, giving me the accent. And now I'm getting a symbol right out my window. There is a branch and a bird coming down. So the freedom that is available to us when we change our perspective, when we spread our wings, birds are a symbol of freedom. Birds are a symbol of flight, of going, how do I get myself out of this situation through active surrender rather than through fighting? How do we move on from this place that we perhaps fought our whole lives? And sometimes we don't even need to be rescued. It's not about finding a way out. It's actually about surrendering in this exact situation and coming into a place of acceptance of, I'm actually not going to change this. I'm not going to change that person. They are the way they are. They aren't evolving. They aren't being able to see my perspective. And I'm just going to go and float in that water that's off the island and look up at the clouds and enjoy this moment of time. For when we are fighting to get out of situations, we're resisting, and what we resist persists. So we can find ourselves trapped in the trying to get out but stuck in a scenario and not able to see that what we're in is actually a nice place if we stop thinking that that situation is bad. And they're showing me the flag, like you're actually a flag, you're claiming the space of your island rather than trying to escape it. So it is about coming back, and beautiful. Thank you, guides, because it's come just all full circle around what I got this morning, what we've been talking about today. It's about coming back to self and understanding there's no part of you that you need to run from, that all your emotions are okay. Emotions are part of the human experience, and that by coming into a state of surrender and acceptance with yourself, that's going to give you your freedom. That's going to show you all the pathways available to you that you have choice about, rather than feeling like you are trapped and not having a choice about how you move forward, what relationships you're in, what work environments that you're in, how you're going to make money, make the rent this week. It's not about trying harder. It's about going further inwards and coming to peace with yourself, because the outer will reflect that. So a beautiful message to close on today. I am my own island, and I'm quite happy with being on that island. And those who are meant to join me and be a part of my world will come and visit that island. So enjoy that. Yes, inner standing. And Christine saying, I have been craving the island life lately. And understanding, like, what would that give you? Why does the island life appeal to you? For what purpose? Because if we can then narrow that down, is it because it's you'd be isolated from other people, you'd feel safe there, you'd find that you had a sense of freedom in that space, you could relax. So if you find out what it would give you, you can then own that part of it and find it in other ways without having to wait till you can afford to go on an island journey, holiday, or move to one. Does anyone else have any specifics what they're traveling through at the moment that you'd like a quick reading on.
Okay, guys, this is your time.
If not, we'll wrap it up. Well, we'll say good night. Good morning.
Beautiful. What a pleasure. Thank you, girls.
Oh, Jen, it's been so beautiful. Venus has put his hand up right where we were saying goodbye. Venus, did you have a question?
You're on mute.
Still on mute.
Yep. You're on mute, Venus.
The most said sentence in the whole world. You're on mute. You're muted.
You're off it now, mute Venus. Go ahead.
Okay. You talked about a lot of things. You spoke that you had never met extraterrestrials personally. When I lived in the desert back in the 70s, I was practicing bhakti yoga from Ram Dass's book, Remember Be Here Now. And I became aware that there was a place called Giant Rock where there was a man that claimed to know aliens. And I started perceiving auric fields and stuff at people, and most people were spiritually dead and asleep. But there was these two individuals that were mysteriously, they looked like their crown and third eyes were awake. And, you know, it was kind of all new to me because I was only like 18, 19 years old. And I kind of like intuitively knew that these guys weren't regular human beings, that they were like, they had something to do with, you know, that the extraterrestrial presences that George Van Tassel had written about. And they were posing it, they were supposed to be Marines. And I went through this strange experience where I talk to them now and then, they tell me stuff like about futuristic Star Trek stuff. Then one day I had this tripod in my apartment, and there's like this high-pitched sound in it. It was so intense, it felt like it was focusing through me, and it was like I was going insane. And then it stopped, and I thought, wow. And all of a sudden, the guy that was my next door neighbor, he drove up in a car, and I intuitively knew that he had something to do with that. I walked up to him, and I said, why did you do that? And he says, we just had to make sure. I said, what do you mean you had to make sure? He says, we had to make sure you weren't some nut or some kook that'd go tell everybody about us.
Oh, wow.
This guy was a guy that was working with the government, and he was an extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
And he was a Marine. And I very rarely ever told anybody about it, but I'm writing a book right now, and I mentioned it in my book. I told a famous lady author about it, and she believed me, and she told me I should continue my book. So I do include it in my book. I just thought I'd mention that. I don't know what you feel about what I'm saying to you. It might sound crazy or wild, but I'm telling you the truth of what I experienced, regardless of what actually happened.
Yeah.
Not at all. I don't think you're crazy at all. Not anyone can say anything that I think is crazy, to be honest. I think they are walking amongst us a lot. I think there's a lot of hybrids, and I know that there's so much activity in certain locations that you're going to have more of an opportunity to kind of come across them. So that's super exciting. I love it. Thank you for sharing that, Venus.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and let us know when your book comes out.
All right.
Great. So
Thanks.
before we sign off tonight, Jen, I want to thank you again so much for being here, for sharing your inner wisdoms with everyone. The comments have just been absolutely beautiful. People's hearts have been touched. They felt huge senses of release and peace, and that's huge. You know, that's huge. So thank you for bringing that and bringing all your beauty in with that. And Karen, I want to thank you so much for being my co-host this month. You know, we're having a really good time here on our Conscious Awakening series. And so Thank you. Thank you. And then Susie sent a text and said she had another song that she kind of wanted to send us off with. So I want to honor that. But what we'll do, as soon as she completes this, I'll go ahead and put everyone on gallery view, and we'll all come back up one more time. So again, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks, Jen. The
Thank
Galactic Gals from Down
That's
Under.
right.
Woohoo! Thanks, Jen.
All right.
Ready?
Susie.
Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other, but we are entwined with one another in one great tapestry. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much.
I
Thanks
love you
for
guys.
everyone being here. Hey, Joan, good to see ya.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I wanted to tell Venus I live right near Giant Rock. If you have any questions.
All right,
Great evening. Thank you. That was great music.
Yes, it was beautiful. Thank you so much, Susie. Again, Karen, thank you. Jen, thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who joined us tonight, who's watching on YouTube. Wherever you are, make sure you hit that like button and share. And so
Who said they live
until
by Giant
next
Rock?
week, namaste.
Sure, Sheila, who said they live by Giant Rock?
Zone of
Zone
Angels.
of Angels.
Okay, thank you for telling me that. I lived
Yeah.
in St. Paul for 7 years.
All right. We'll talk about it. You can reach out. Look,
Wonderful.
I'm
Okay,
right on
thank
the
you.
ambassador.
Big
Okay.
hugs, everyone.